Welcome to the first episode of the Lucky Clover Podcast. I'm your co-host, Austin, along with Matt and Aaron. So we're just going to start up. We were thinking about starting up this podcast. I think it's a good time to be a Celtics fan, obviously. If you were watching this past season, incredible turnaround. Just team made their first final since 2010, so 12 years ago. So it was pretty, after starting pretty horrendously in the beginning of the season. So we're thinking we're going to do weekly episodes of this, as well as trying to do post-game shows, mainly for the national games. It's an 82 game long season. There's no way we're going to be able to cover each single game right after, but we're thinking of doing weekly episodes if there's no national games that week, or just doing post-game lives with the nationally scheduled TV games. So off the rip, as I mentioned, team start this past season, made the finals, unfortunately fell short to the Warriors in 6 games, losing on their home floor. It was pretty tough, but I think maybe it's just me. I think it was a painful loss, but it was a quick loss, because I think we all realized that this team has way lengths to grow. Like, this is, I mean, your two cornerstones are, 24 and 25. No guarantee. There's never, a guarantee that you'll ever be back in the finals. I mean, take OKC, for example. They made one finals, and people thought they were going to be like a powerhouse of the West. Never made it back after that.
The whole thing just broke apart.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but after this offseason, which we'll get into, and just kind of how well built this team is, especially how young this team is, that there's really no reason why they shouldn't be able to make another finals sometime soon. So off the rip, I'm going to get your guys' opinions on, kind of how your reaction to last season was. How much were you watching up until the point of the turnaround? If you were watching, then it was pretty rough trying to get into some of these games. I remember there was a point where I was like, for my mental sake, I can't watch this team because they were just too inconsistent. They would just go away from the things that worked constantly. It wasn't 100% effort in the games, night in and night out, so made it pretty tough to watch as well. But how are your guys' kind of reaction to last season, as well as, just kind of that magical playoff run and, making the finals for the first time in a while?
I think with last season, like, the part that made me, obviously, like, there was a points where I'm like, geez, these guys aren't going anywhere. The season's wrapped. I think they were like in 11th in the Eastern Conference or something. And I think it was the loss to Chicago where I think they were up by 14 and they lost by 14. It was like the only time
that game.
We were at that game. Yep.
That is a depressing game to be at, but it's like the only time that swing has happened or something like that. That was essentially a point where I had almost given up. And then, but the thing that always kind of kept me liking this team is that all their wounds, and the wounds that we saw all the way to the finals, were self-inflicted. It was just the turnovers, and it was that was the key. Like, throughout the majority, even in the playoffs prior to the finals, they were somehow still able to get past the Heat and the Bucks, and they killed the Nets. But the Heat and the Bucks, even in those series, you saw that the games that they lost and the moments when they would slip up, it was just because they were still the better team. They were literally doing it to themselves. And I think that's what was so frustrating. And then eventually, in my opinion, the Warriors were a better team than the Celtics. I think a lot of it comes down to maturity in those kind of moments. But it's not like the Celtics made it hard for the Warriors. They gave them the ball like 20 times a game and gave them like fast, break transition points. So for me, my reaction was, they are good enough to be there. Now it's about being strong enough mentally to get over the hump, because they kept getting over the biggest hump was the Eastern Conference Finals hump, right? Like, that was like the hump that we haven't been able to get over for a long time. So I think that we did this past year. It's a very good sign. And then you ran into Steph Curry and the Warriors. It's like, you can't, how upset can you be? Exactly. How upset can you be losing to a team like that? It's frustrating because you knew you had the skill. It was just showing it in the right moment. So I was upset, obviously, like, reactionary, but when I'm thinking, I'm positive for next season. And as any Eastern Conference fan, I'd want to be a Celtics fan out of any Eastern Conference team in terms of like the outlook for next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt pretty much echoed a lot of my thoughts, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely a rough start, and I mean, I think we found is like, I think people's reaction was like, we were like probably like 9th, 10th, 11th seed, and people, like rightfully so crapping on the Celtics, and I mean, but that was a testament to, I mean, it's a talented team. No one was complaining about the Pistons being the 12th seed. They were the 12th seed, and when you find a team that's as talented Celtics, you expect your expectations, like even if they went down from, we had a year where we thought, 67 wins was going to be the number. I think Bill Simmons threw that out, and we didn't get close. We got bounced in the second round by the Bucks, but we still have the similar core, and we still have like so much talent. And I think it's a testament to like the Celtics are a really well run organization. Like not just because we have, I think, like second tied for the most championships, but also because like we consistently compete. Like we're talking about a team that made the Eastern Conference Finals so many times with like less talented squads. Like I love IT, but IT
just because the Isaiah Thomas years,
I mean they still made
Jaylen Brown years.
And yes, we had some injured teams with what, like Middleton was out, and like I think he was like about, like we were both, everyone was banged up, but Lowry I'm sure would have been better, like would have been
Tyler
made Hero better.
Tyler Hero missed like
Tyler Hero
like the last 4 games, I think, in the series, even though
Tyler Hero stinks the playoffs. That's my first,
except in the bubble.
Dude, I saw Heat fans happy that he was out rather than the other way around.
Yeah, no,
I don't know if it's the first hot take we've had, but that's a take. Is like Hero sucks in the playoffs, but yeah, no, I definitely yes, they like the teams like don't come back, but like I do think it's like a great place to start off of, because like I thought that was probably one of the first few, like that's probably this is probably the second year where Jaylen and Jason have really become the figureheads, where it was like Kyrie before, and it was Gordon Hayward, and
Kemba.
Now like totally new, like kind of fresh face,
and now it's all
like them. Yeah, but in Aduka, like that's, I mean, we can even talk about that at one point, but like Aduka, like I mean, there was growing pains. Like he was he was definitely had a, like I think he had a gel with the good guys as well, and getting Stevens on board. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a great season. I just think that I think it was a great season because I'm like, even though like I am a Massachusetts guy, I don't have the same expectations of the Celtics as like we're talking about the Boston. We're talking about like Boston, where the Patriots probably won like 6 out of 7 years, and so like it's not Boston high expectations. It's still like pretty good considering there's 30 teams. 29 of them are going to lose. So be the best losers.
Yeah, I thought you made a good point with Udoka being a new coach, because I think that's another thing I kind of had to realize was, at least after the season, or kind of when they went on that run, I think that there are going to be growing pains. It's a new coach. You can't just expect to like start the season off like 16-2 or anything like that. I mean, there's still definitely problems that I think people have legitimate reasons to be mad about, such as like the lack of focus and effort night to night. But they did fix it. Wait, what?
I mean, I think we also all missed a part where like it was Aduka was growing pains, but the big turnaround was that trade deadline. That
right.
Was, I mean,
I wanted to bring that up.
That was like Schroeder. It's crazy because Schroeder and Thompson. It was Thompson who
Richardson.
Richardson. Thompson and Richardson were solid players, and I think they were solid players even when they left the Celtics. But the fit was like night and day with Tice and Derek White. The shoe is a ridiculous signing. We're gonna have him like 3 years, and he's like, I think he's getting paid like 18, which is like a lot, but current NBA feels like
everyone's and NBA money. Not like crazy. Yeah. It's good for a role player like that.
A top tier 6 man. Yeah. So having the new energy the return energy of Tice, who by the way will be, if anyone fans are out listening to this, Tice will be back by trade deadline. It happens every year. He leaves. We flip him from assets.
he just rents a condo in whatever town he moves to, and then he still has his house in Boston.
I mean, the guy is it says he's a German citizen, but he's a Boston Celtics citizen, in my opinion. But but yeah, it was a great trade deadline.
Yeah, about that, but the trade deadline and stuff. I remember like when that all happened, everyone's glued to their phone, like free agency, like Woj and Shams bombs, like the greatest time of the year. But yeah. I was a gigantic fan of the Derek White move. I always liked him. I like Greg Popovich players. Just feel like they bring a different level of like maturity and like composure to the game. Losing Josh Richardson was a big blow, and I felt like at points in the playoffs we saw that. You know, he was shooting 40% from three at some points, and there were times we couldn't buy a three. Yeah. So that. But you got to lose to gain in the NBA. So I think the addition of Derek White, a facilitating point guard who can play good defense, doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. I think guys like that around Jaylen and Tatum are perfect. I think that's why guys like Kyrie and Kemba didn't really flesh out, because they can't do much off ball to impact games. But Derek White can. And Tice, the thing with Tice is like I love Tice, but he's a third string center, and come playoff time in a finals push, like he's essentially like worthless. He in my opinion, he can space the floor. Maybe he can shoot a three, but like he gets bullied. And I think we saw that happen a little bit with Kevon Looney, and I like Tice. I wish him the best, but I think, and I'm not sure if this is the order that we wanted to go in, but I think this is a good segue to talk about what we got rid of with Tice to get a big guy who's coming into Boston next season.
Yeah,
Malcolm Brogdon.
Brogdon. That's a good. That's good.
Celtics fans wanted him for a minute. It's
Dude, when that, I remember when that trade happened, it was like it was a lot of talk about us using one of the MLE exceptions. I think we had like a 17 million exception to use that we didn't end up using. People were looking at like Kevon Huerter from the Hawks, who I actually would have loved. Guys like Kyle Kuzma. And then just the bomb that we traded for Brogdon, and then don't know what went through you guys' heads, but for me, it was like Smart's gone. Like it had to have been Smart. Wow. How could Stevens have gotten Brogdon without losing the core?
Scraps.
Essentially scraps.
It's a rental. So that's the reason we got him for. It was a rental. It's a rental for an injury prone guy. So like, talent wise, like we gave up nothing, but like I think the Pacers were like just accepted, like, okay, we're not gonna be good this year. Like we'll give up him for 1 year. But
not to mention they have Tyrese Halliburton too, so I think they kind of
he's so good.
Yeah, they found their star point guard. I think the Malcolm Brogdon trade was awesome. I mean, I remember before that. When we had gotten Gallinari, I was like, okay, so we're doing something. Like, Gallinari's old, but he's a career 38% 3-point shooter,
just
or something
a scorer
like that.
Off the bench.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I was gonna say after the finals, like if you wanted to join the Celtics, it should have been like a kind of it should have been literally like, if you can't shoot, do not apply to like
seriously,
this
bro.
job, because there were times
have to be able to shoot.
Have to be able to shoot after that finals. I mean, we saw like the bench was just in the finals, just they could not buy buckets at times. I mean, while Derek White was finding his confidence, and you had brought him up earlier, and I think kind of joining mid-season was kind of tough for him in terms of confidence and kind of finding his fit. So I think it definitely, once we get into like we get to a full training camp, we get into the season, he'll kind of find his place a little bit more. But yeah, when we added Malcolm Brogdon, I was like, thank goodness, because like what you need, like right now, I think as Tatum and Brown kind of learn to be more primary ball handlers, because this is like you mentioned, this is like their second year doing that, like being the primary ball handlers. Obviously, Marcus Smart does like a lot of the ball handling as well, but he's not like he's a good point guard. He's not going to solve your problems in terms of we saw that in the finals. Like there were times where there's a little bit of implosion with the turnovers, from Jaylen, Jason, and Smart. But bringing in Malcolm Brogdon, I think he's not going to be the primary ball handler. He's more of like a combo guard.
They can
But
be,
it's
just not
yes,
all the time.
exactly. I think that's just going to be huge. Just any pressure taking any pressure off Tatum and Brown as ball handlers, I think is going to be perfect. Kind of setting them up in more finishing roles way better.
Yeah.
Having them more move off the ball. Tatum's obviously still going to probably be your main ball handler, and that's something that he's going to have to learn to do more, you know, to evolve his game. But yes, Malcolm Brogdon, that trade practically giving up nothing. Because like you said, I was like, how did he had to get given up smart? But
Yeah.
I mean, it was just Aaron Neesmith. It was a first round pick, right? A next year first round pick, and then Daniel
I have
Tice,
my
Aaron
basketball
Neesmith.
reference open for this.
It was
And
Daniel
then
Tice,
like
Aaron Neesmith.
four of those like two-way guys that were just on the bench during the
Yeah, I think
playoffs.
like Malik
Yeah,
Fitz.
just to
bench
get
guy,
like just to get salary.
W bench
Malik
mob.
Fitz,
Yeah.
Juwan Morgan, Aaron Naismith, Nick Starkus, and Tice, and a first round pick. Blank was later selected. I think they screwed that up. In a conditional first round pick with cannot see with the conditions, but then they received a trade exception, but not like Matt said, not the original trade exception. It was like a different one. We kind of let one expire, but we like what matters really. We got Brogdon. We weren't able to give him much, and like a lot, and like I think we're gonna have to replace those guys. Which is like, yes, they were just warm bodies, but I think that was possibly our issue was like when after we traded for Tice and Derek White, we had like a horrible bench, and I don't think like a bench like we talk about you talk about 8-man, 9-man rotations, like that's not going to be like that happens in the playoffs. But to get to the playoffs, like having 12 guys who can play is actually like pretty important. Like we'll see, like
absolutely.
Like if you think that like the Bucks won last few years, and people were like, oh, they're the healthiest team. Well, they were the healthiest team because they had 12 guys who played the regular season. And like so like guys like Tice will like easily replaceable, but as long as we find like guys that are in those Tice level players, especially someone who's some versatile, because I think like the big thing for Tice level players is you got to have like some type of role, because I know like we played Tice against some teams and he was good. So like if we find a guy who like can't space the floor, but we're facing a team who like doesn't who like gives up, who like is fine with giving up giving up like inside like shots, like that works. If we can find a guy who can space the floor and the Bucks again, like we'll play him a little bit. But as long as we find some, not but better than warm bodies, but maybe not like it have to be the top tier players to fill up that bench role, like Brogdon trades pretty much like you said, it's all upside.
Right.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, there's the Gallinari which I think in the past couple of days it's now looking like more gloomy and gloomy. It came out in his I think it was Italy World Cup or whatever qualifying game.
Qualifiers, I think it is.
Yeah, he tore his meniscus, which sucks. We've seen Robert Williams deal with that throughout the playoffs. Definitely for Rob, he definitely didn't heal enough. You could see there were some games he was slacking, and then he'd come back maybe on a 3-game rest, and next game he looks just like his springboard self, brand new. But with the whole offseason, I think he'll be all right. But so like, how are we feeling about Gallinari? Like when we got him, I thought it was great. $6.5 million for 2 years. Just again, Austin, you talked about it a bit, like 38% from 3 for his career. He's been a scorer. And I think what I like the most about his press conference is he came out and audibly said he knows he has a bench role here. And he's just fitting in a piece of a puzzle that was missing, and that was just pure bench scoring. And he knows he's not the guy anymore. Like he's up in age. He can't move like he used to. So I think getting him was a great get. That's just a guy. He's just a guy you see pop up on teams that just like go deep in the playoffs. Like guys like that are just always on like high scoring teams. He's just like one of those guys. And now Boston is finally becoming a team where we can get free agent acquisitions of people that want to go far in playoffs and like get rings. So we're kind of making that identity switch. But not to get too off topic, how are you feeling about Gallinari, especially now with the injury? Say he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks and could potentially miss opening night.
I mean, I've kind of like it's like I think it definitely happens. I think that's what we kind of what kind of people have been discussing is like I know a lot of American basketball players just don't play in the Olympics, and like they don't feel like they feel like the NBA is where the money is and where they're like where they want their talent to lie rather than like on the Olympic stage. So like we kind of accepted this, but like this was gonna be it could be an issue, but it's definitely could have been a lot worse. I think there was like talks of it being a rupture, it being a fracture, and I think we got like good news that it wasn't like completely done for the season. I know there was like
Yeah.
it was like I know there was like could have been a lot worse, but it's kind of like what kind of leaves you in is just like you're not sure where you're gonna have him because meniscus tears I know can be
It
upwards of
ranges.
weeks to months.
Yeah.
And
It
weeks is
ranges.
like what? The weeks is weeks means he's back for the fourth season, the fourth game, and with plenty of time. And months means like we get him like middle way through, but like we like it's definitely unlucky. I think like it kind of means that we have to be more clear about like minutes and like get guys that we weren't planning to play many minutes to step up because like you can like that's a good question. Is it where will Duca put those minutes? But in my opinion, like I would put those minutes on another role player rather than having moving like what would be like Brown or Tatum playing 34, 35 minutes to 36, 37 minutes and more than that because Gallinari would play 15 minutes is to me is you kind of have to find a bench guy who's going to fill those minutes because I'd rather not like we've seen like injury prone playoff teams is one injury turns to another because everyone is just under that crunch kind of like I mean I like in like when you lose one person the ball goes to the next person and then it just kind of can topple you over. So I think it definitely puts pressure on everyone, but I think it'll put more pressure on a role player that can do it. So, my opinion.
Yeah, I'm glad the Gallinari signing. Obviously, I was happy about it because it wasn't super expensive. Obviously,
kind of high
and
risk,
just
kind of like high reward, low risk.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and as I mentioned before, less pressure in Tatum and Brown. I mean, because if you want to leave him and try to load up the paint, I mean, sure you can do that, and he's probably gonna like splash it like damn near every time if you try to. I mean, I remember that when he was on the Hawks and they had that run to the conference finals. I remember that game 7 against Philly. I mean, I think he was just killing them. I mean, every time they gave him like an inch of space, he was like knocking it down, and he was shooting over people, like getting into the paint, being able to hit like fadeaway mid ranges. I mean, and then I remember he got like the game, the kind of the game not saving because they were up, but he got like kind of that game clinching steal on Embiid, and it was able to get the dunk on the other end. So he definitely, even though he's in age, he's up there in age. I think overall, it's going to be like you said, high risk, low reward. Obviously the ligament or the
the
meniscus
opposite.
tear.
High reward, low risk.
High reward, low risk. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But obviously it's a little minor setback with the meniscus tear. I think Sham said, thankfully, there's no ACL or ligament damage, which is the best case for us going forward.
That picture that was trending, bro, that was just a frame glitch. Like,
I think that, yeah.
Like, I hope neither of y'all are about to be under the umbrella of people that I'm talking about, but I saw people like actually think that was like an X-ray of his skin. Like it was just, I'm pretty sure it was just I literally work in like sports broadcasting productions. Like you can't see the tendons through the skin. Like there's
very confused.
That was definitely just a frame glitch and people like freaked out about it. I at first was like, what the hell? But then I'm like, bro, that's not his fucking tendons.
I was gonna say I haven't seen that picture like 20 times in the span of like 2 days.
Wait,
and I was like,
I'm trying to freak us all out, bro.
You didn't see the picture?
I know. I heard about it, but like, so someone uploaded. Did he upload it? Who uploads?
No, it was like it was just like a screenshot from like the play where the injury occurred from like the live stream. So and it was just like his leg, because it was non-contact, so it's just like his stepping on the ground, and it made it look like the tendon was like ripping, but I think it was just like a frame.
Yeah,
glitching.
like it's you're not gonna you can't like I don't know like basketball cams are not meant for diagnosing injuries. They're although I saw some good not really a Celtics topic, but like there's some unfortunate sad analysis, but good analysis from I think one of the top YouTube doctors who analyzed like the new injury to Chet Holmgren, but like you really like it. Like we really, internet sleuths can only do so much. So as long as as long as that it's not like I think super major, like which tear's a tear, it's gonna be not fun. But definitely could we definitely could have we dodged. Definitely could have been a lot worse. And I mean, but I guess that to me the only my real concern is just the age is when you get in like any ages and like he's at the age where like he's gonna regress. Like he has regressed, but could he regress to the point of being a bad player? Like hopefully
Right.
not. But like injuries, put that into question. But like I mean, and that's the kind of reason we can kind of sign. Everyone was so happy about the Gallinari signing. Is he's a 3-point shooter. He's like we don't want him to sit in the corner and just wait for a three, but like he has like a role where like he doesn't require athleticism a ton, and like his defense isn't like even though his defense isn't amazing, like he's I think he's like what 6'7". He's got some good weight on him. He doesn't have to be the fastest.
It's not
player.
like Isaiah Thomas where
no, he's not.
He's just getting it's like a 5-on-4. Like no, he doesn't clamp like Marcus Smart, but he's not like a liability.
No, and like he's serviceable, and that's the that's the kind of player is like is perfect for a bench, which is like he has like a specific role, and he has like he can be a hog in like where there's gonna be some games where he might not be able to play be able to play much because they might target him on defense, and maybe he matches up badly, but like there's gonna be a lot less games where he matches it badly, and if he does match it badly, like Aduka, like I feel like we all kind of know, like that's kind of like what comes this season so different is like we feel a lot more comfortable with Aduka, and Aduka seems like if someone sucks, if Gallinari is a bad game or Tatum's off, like we'll still find a way to win because we're in the presence of Aduka, who feels like to us like yes he played like yes he started off really badly, but he really does feel like after the second half like he feels like a top tier coach.
And for me, the thing with Udoka is he seems like a guy that is if Tatum does something bad, he's gonna be like, bro, what the fuck was that? It's not like with Brad Stevens, he was very much like
he lost the room.
Yeah. Well, it was just like I feel like he didn't want to like hurt feelings. And again, I'm not in the locker room, so like I could just be talking like total BS right now. But for me, it seems like Udoka is like a player coach. Like he can really talk and connect with the player and get that player to grow, and that player respects him. You know what I'm saying? For me, Stevens always fit a front office kind of role. So that switch and him being very successful so far as a GM is not surprising for me. I just felt like Udoka was the more kind of a coach we needed for like a gritty team to make that push. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like to me, that makes sense to me.
No, I think I mean honestly, what was you want to say the quote that like what would Brad Stevens say versus what would Aduka say? I think you one of your favorite quotes in the middle of the season. It's like it was like Aduka would like Brad Stevens would be like, come on guys, you gotta play better. Aduka would be like, you guys are playing like dumbasses out there.
Oh yeah, seriously. I mean, I think he literally I remember like he called a timeout or something. I think it was during the playoffs or something, one of the regular season games, and he literally told me, "You guys are playing like selfish assholes."
Yeah.
So yeah, he's honest, and that's what's good because you can't sugarcoat things, especially when a team is reverting to bad habits, over and over, like we saw with the Celtics. I mean, there's definitely some growing pains with him as a coach, but I credit to him. He stayed consistent the whole season. He's like, I'm not going to change what I'm doing. I'm not going to change I'm not going to change the double big starting lineup.
Credit to him, bro.
Yeah. He was like, we're doing this. You're going to fall in line. And exactly. Credit to him. It ended up working. And,
it's so much easier to look back with hindsight and be like, well, of course it would work. But when we were like 22 and 23, bro, not a lot of people thought it was going to work. So, I mean, credit to him. But I mean, I'm ready to move on to the big thing on our topic list, which I think we all know is everything involving Kevin Durant.
Yes, we'll probably dedicate the least amount of KD time to a basketball podcast. Probably if you watch 10 of them, 9 of them, they'll mention one sentence of like, okay, the Steph Curry and the Warriors won championship. Let's move on. Okay, let's talk about KD now. And we're the first ever. That's gonna be a minor product, but we have to talk about it especially considering that Jaylen Brown nearly got traded, or at least like there's some leakage going on. my conspiratorial brain, the Nets were like, we're gonna sow discontent. We're gonna say that Celtics offered Jaylen Brown, and
Yeah.
obviously I think that's probably the truth to it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Nets knew exactly what they're doing. They're trying to
Exactly.
destroy us inside.
Who
Yeah.
benefits from that leak? Not the Celtics.
I'm a Cat feeling, but I'm
definitely
out
not.
serious. It's definitely like, well, it was definitely like a way to. I think most people online, and I probably would agree, would say that maybe it was a leak to just kind of get under the Celtics skin. More likely, they wanted to get people to offer them better deals, because
Yeah,
honestly, that
better
deal was
offers.
good. The deal was good for them. Like Jaylen Brown, but the reason everyone was so arguing so much about it is because Jaylen is a great player, and I'm kind of happy he didn't go through. Like, honestly, I think I know people were like, oh, Jaylen, the horrible deal, like Jaylen's like just as good as KD, which is not true, or KD is KD's washed because he lost in four, or the opposite, which is like KD's like the best player in the league. We have to get him. But honestly, yes, we didn't win the championship, but we were 2 games away. Like, I don't know if we needed to shake
5
it
minutes
up
away from being up 3-1.
and
So,
we definitely had game 5 was close. Game 5, game 4, there was a lot of chances for us to flip that series. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off by that, but I just feel like we want we aren't in a position where we need to trade and change our entire roster just for KD, who is a great player, but also is maybe not good enough for the entire package we're going to send.
It's just, I was just gonna raise a question. Austin, I'll go to you first.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and I think it was 3 first-rounders. That was the main one that was floating around, and that's the one that came out where it seemed like that was the best deal the Nets were offered. Why the Nets didn't take it, God only knows. I feel like that definitely would have been the best deal. But my question is you're Brad Stevens, are you pulling that trigger? Because I think it's look, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, they'll come back and they'll play great. But Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. And I know we've been building this this foundation of a team for a long time, but there are some guys that you break the bank for. I think he's one of them. I am indifferent on whether I want to do it. So Austin, I'll start with you.
I said my piece.
Would you do that? Would you do that?
Would I do it? I know I get attached to players, so
same.
It's tough. It's tough. But you can't as a GM, you can't do that. I mean, I think for the right price, if that was the deal I don't know how many first round picks they offered. That's 3 sounds correct. I can't remember how many they did, but I mean, if it's Jaylen Brown and Derek White and a few first rounders, I mean, you're not really gutting your team there, because I mean, if you're not gutting your team, I mean, you're keeping the start, well, not the starting 5, obviously, but you're
swapping one.
Yeah, you're swapping one who is better. And
yes,
KD
is better than Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is a great player, but that's
exactly. It's no slight to him. I think what makes it tough is that if things don't go well,
then you lost Jaylen Brown.
Yeah,
if things don't go well, not to mention your window is shorter. I think if that deal did go through, Celtics, they're already championship favorites as it is right now, from a lot of betting sites at least. But if they traded Jaylen Brown for Derek White for Kevin Durant, they're clear favorites. I mean, literally if healthy, you might as well have booked him to the finals if it had gone well. The only way I probably, in another universe, if someone held a crystal ball in front of my face and was like, "Hey, you're winning a championship this year if you get Kevin Durant," I'd be like, okay.
Wait, so if they did trade, I just want to say, if they did trade for KD, so would the lineup be Smart, Brogdon, Tatum, KD, Time Lord? Right? I mean, no Brown.
That sounds right. I think,
that is a freaking crazy lineup.
It is a crazy lineup.
I'm sorry, bro. That is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, is Horford off the bench, or is he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. We'll get into that too, because but yeah, I mean, essentially, if probably move Horford to the bench. I mean, considering that they're going to definitely want to conserve minutes for Horford this year, as much as possible, at least.
Clock.
Yeah. So I probably do it for the right price. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I do get attached to players sometimes, but you know, I think also it's tough because Kevin Durant is just a hard guy to root for. I mean, like,
it's a good point.
Quit on one team. He tried to quit on the Brooklyn Nets, which if I'm his teammates, I don't know how you go into that locker room like, without giving mad side eyes. You know what I mean? Because you literally tried to quit on everybody, and like you tried to get the GM and the coach fired, like because you.
Yeah, that's really awkward.
That's really weird. That's really selfish. Kind of like temper tantrum ish. Like I don't know. I'm very curious to see how that Nets. I'm definitely going to be tuned into the Nets training camp. Yeah. I'm really curious to see how that locker room situation is going out. Like,
for me, it didn't come down to skill. It came down to the guy I wanted on my team, because we know Jaylen Brown we knew before all this stuff came out about him potentially being traded, and we saw his reaction, and you can read into that how you want. But we knew before that he was committed to this team. He even said when he got drafted, I'll go to war for the city and all this stuff. With KD, he can flip a switch and want to be somewhere else. And that just like completely takes away from what the team was building. Like we've seen it happen when he went to Golden State, and we saw his play and the downfall of the Nets.
They would have had 5 rings if he didn't leave.
Like seriously, and it's just like, is it worth
6
getting rid of loyal players who, yes, one of them, Jaylen, is a tier below, and then D White is a tier below that, in my opinion. Is it worth getting rid of those guys who will fight for the team, as opposed to a guy like KD, who, he's really good, but the second that, his soup at TD Garden is cold, he wants to go back to Sacramento. You know what I'm saying? Like, or I mean, not Sacramento. Fucking
Golden State.
That would be
San Francisco. Whatever. Yeah. Imagine he goes to the Kings. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Well, right. Well, there was like a bunch of people like who just like NBA chaos levels, and I honestly sometimes I'm an NBA chaos level, but like who just like why the Kings, if the Kings just throw like 1 million first-round picks and like get the Nets to take it, like could they, like what would happen? And most people were like, well, the KD wouldn't play, but I was like, I'm kind of curious. Like I'd love to just see one team just like totally ruin their future for like 4 years of KD and no one else. And I mean, he probably just forced his way out, but that would have been funny. But anyway,
now, this just made me think of a question for both of you.
Go for you.
We say we trade for KD, it happens. Or actually, no, forget that. Would you rather know that we get KD and we have like 2 championships in the next 5 years, and then after that we got to rebuild again because he throws like a temper tantrum and we have to start from the ground up. So it's like two in the next 5 years, or we go into the season right now with what we have and the future is unknown.
Of course, the first one.
How about one in 5 years?
I'll take it. I'll take a sniff of one. No, I'll take one. Like
it seems like you would want to do the trade then, because that is kind of what it's like.
But like it doesn't. But like that's the thing. Is like what worries me is like the injuries and the age. Is like to me like we've seen better teams fail, and I just worry about like like we already like we're already this close. Like I don't know. I'm just someone who's like yes, like walking the boat. Like here's the thing, like I know like walking the boat can work. We like who walked the boat? The Toronto Raptors, and they are a championship winning team with because of Kawhi Leonard. But like also like who's like a championship winning team is like the San Antonio Spurs, who like didn't do anything and just signed and just was just like Ginobili, Tony Parker, and then Kawhi Leonard. Yeah. So apparently it's Kawhi Leonard, but like. I don't know. I felt like we could be the Spurs. I felt like yes, I do think I don't think it's crazy to say that Tim Duncan is better than he's on the KD level than the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown level. But I still think like we had like homegrown talent who could put us so far, and I think that what it came down to was the injury, but also like what you said is like KD seems to be like kind of inconsistent of what he wants, and like yes, maybe like we thought like I just think we're coming from a post, I'll use the phrase post Kyrie era where we had a player who said, I'd love to see my number retired in the rafters. And you know what? Maybe his number will be probably by Peyton Pritchard rather than Kyrie, but like
Fucking Pritchard.
I don't like Peyton Pritchard, maybe, if he becomes the next 6 foot label, that small chance, but it could,
I wonder what his role is going to be now that we got Brogdon.
Yeah,
he kind of was that third ball handler.
He had good moments. He had some good moments, but
yeah, again, he's a regular season guy for me. Kind of useless in a final. If he's not making it, there was that one finals game. Yeah. Sorry,
he was killing it. No, go for it.
He had like, they were getting him like looks. He had like 4 wide open threes, and I'm like, dude, you can't do that. And then Curry's going right by you. So like, why are you on the floor? Like,
yeah,
you need to make your shots.
If he's not making shots, he's not. Yeah.
As soon as you miss 2, like, go back to Boston. Like, get back on the plane. Like, you're not helping at all.
Yeah. That's why like Brogdon was such a good trade, which is like, we were getting minutes from players who really shouldn't get minutes, and we just kept like, and that's what it is. That's what it is. Is like, it's like a lot of incremental changes, and like that was the question. Is like, I think what's going to happen is we had incremental changes, and like I think we have we're lucky to be in the position where we could have done incremental changes, and I think we're all pretty ecstatic about going to the season. Maybe not like, I think we might have been probably, if that trade happened, like that's the thing, is like the reason they declined that trade was because they were also wanted Marcus Smart. And Smart, I thought that was like a little too much, because then not that Marcus Smart is better than KD, just the fact that we're giving up similar value in the quantity of players, of like multiple good players and Jaylen Brown
and future assets.
Nowadays, like I think the first trade had happened, which was Derek White had happened, where we'd still be like a pretty deep team, but like Derek White the big thing is we said it, we'd swap Jaylen Brown for KD and lose one great player. We one really good role player, a great role player. So like, it's like we're in a privileged position, to be honest, like, and like, but yeah, I think we definitely like the biggest risk was seeing would KD like really dedicate himself to the team, the same way that we know for a fact that Jaylen and credit to him, Derek White had for just half season. But we're privileged position, but I mean, I'm still excited about the season, despite losing out on what could have been a really ridiculous trade.
Yeah, I'm just glad, now they decided to not pull the trigger on that I did not want to have to hear about this going into training camp. I thought that would have just been an unnecessary distraction. I'm glad, Brad Stevens and Ime came out, I think it was like last week or something, and saying like, we kind of, we had this, saying that, him and the Nets had discussions, and that, they understand the importance of their guys, not only to the team, but also the community, and just, saying how once they did the Brogdon trade, they were really happy with the team. I mean, obviously, how could you not be? You have depth, you have multiple ball handlers and scorers now. If one person gets injured, it's not really the end of the world, whereas if you traded for KD and you gutted, had to gut some of your team, not to mention that we didn't even mention this, but KD's kind of coming off 2 like pretty bad injuries.
That's a big reason.
He's definitely not the most durable player. So that's also, and not that Jaylen is really either. I mean, Jaylen had some injury issues last year, but like I said, KD's up there, he's what is he, 34 now, I think, or something like that. Just coming off 2 pretty bad injuries. So 33. Yeah. Still though,
yeah,
hey, that's older than 25. I'm telling you,
Yeah, so. But I mean, that was the reason that everyone was like, do it 100%. This is like, yes, KD is would have been probably the greatest player. Like having a 4-year a guy who's on a 4-year deal, who's 33. We're talking about like a league where I still think Michael Jordan's the best player in the world, but Michael Jordan at 41 took 2 years off, was still scored 20 points. It's talking about like a guy who's maybe not Michael Jordan's league because he's probably the best ever, but still a guy who's in that top 20 range. He's at 33 is like so like he like KD has a chance to be like incredible for till 39.
Yeah.
So it really came down to the injuries. Would the injuries is what is the all the injuries a question after to for us to like not do it? And like obviously I don't even know if that was even our decision. I think it sounded like we offered it and they said no because they wanted smart. But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that brings me to my next question is like, is this next year like is this championship or bust? Or is this
it's a good segue. It's a good segue. I'll
sure.
go first.
Sorry.
But sorry, no, Austin, my bad. I was gonna say, yeah, it fucking is. Okay.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it is. Because we know we can get there. And now we have enough talent to win it. We had enough talent to win it last year. Like even though only one team can win, both teams can have enough talent to win, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about the team that's more composed, has the better mentality, and just like, how do I say it, more accustomed to that situation. I mean, what Curry has 4 now, same as LeBron.
Yep.
So he's been there before. I think it's championship or bust. It's not that it's like a failure of a season if we don't win the championship, but I will be disappointed if we don't. Like the only reason I'm not is if it's like 6 or 7 games in the finals, it's like a tough series. Like I feel like we have to get there. Like we definitely have to get there. If Gallinari comes back fully healthy and it's that full squad that like we've seen those graphics on Twitter of like, look out for the Celtics next year, and it's like our top 10 guys or something. That team can win a championship. For me it is.
What do you think? What do you think, Us?
No, yeah, I agree. It's championship or bust. I mean, you were up 2-1 in the finals the previous year, or this past season. 5 minutes away from being up 3-1, and obviously we saw they just couldn't keep composed down the stretch. Obviously,
For sure.
Tatum it was a miserable finals for him. Just could not buy a bucket. Andrew Wiggins had him in a jail cell the whole fucking finals. Dude, oh my God, the amount of Andrew Wiggins, like, is Tatum's father memes I've seen on Twitter, like, oh my God, dude,
it's crazy.
It is so annoying. And Warriors fans, they are very vocal when they win. Like, oh God, dude, Steph Curry fans, Jesus, bro.
Same as us.
Like Flight. He's like Flight.
No, Curry, Flight, bro. I couldn't even watch Flight. I couldn't even watch Flight's reaction after because I knew he was gonna be talking mad shit. But it's championship or bust. I mean, there's definitely some teams. I mean, right now the team obviously the season has started. We don't know what teams in the East possibly could emerge. We don't know what the Nets are gonna do. We don't if they figure it out. Like obviously right now it seems hella dysfunctional, probably is dysfunctional. I'm not going to make too many assumptions, but if that team figures it out, that's a lot of talent on that team. Like, and now you have Ben Simmons. I mean, people like to clown Ben Simmons. Like,
he's still got something in him.
He's got talent. He's a great rebounder. He's like a freight train in transition, like LeBron-esque. He makes great, great reads. Yeah, great defender. One of the people that can defend Jaylen and Tatum better than most. But I mean, it's not gonna. It's championship or bust, and it's not gonna be easy. I mean, you've got the Bucks too. Like, I think that's a team I'm really worried about. I mean, I think, the Bucks, Milwaukee and Miami, they're gonna be gunning for the Celtics' head. I mean,
let's be real. Jimmy Butler was a missed 3 away from beating us like himself.
That one had me sick. When I saw that go up, I'm like, if this goes in,
my life's over. But and then the Bucks, like you mentioned, Austin,
they didn't have Middleton. Yeah,
they didn't have Middleton. They got Joe Ingles. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just another
re-signed Bobby Portis,
point
who's
shooter.
A big piece for
good team.
Re-signed Pat Connaughton.
Bobby Portis, right?
Yeah, Bobby Portis as well. Yeah, the Bucks are scary. It's but I mean, like, I have no reason to doubt my Celtics. Like they went into Milwaukee down 3-2 and they won the series.
And let's say like Giannis, like yes, Middleton. It's a good question. Is like would we have gone to the finals with Middleton healthy? Like it's I mean, like maybe
push us to 7 games without Middleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
they're going to be Miami and Milwaukee, especially. They're going to be gunning for the Celtics' head. I'm sure, obviously, my Milwaukee with Middleton, and then Miami. I know, Jimmy's like maybe if I didn't take that three, or if I drove instead, and was
bro's
able
still
to.
thinking about it. Jimmy's
No,
still
I know.
staying up
I'm
late
good.
at night.
I hope Miami fans and Jimmy Butler are thinking about that missed three the whole season, or the whole off season,
Bro.
But
yeah,
I think that the Celtics, they know how hard it is to win. It's definitely part of the maturing process. I think even with the additions, I think most of the improvement from this team, it's going to be growth. It's going to be growth from within the players you currently have. That means Jaylen and Jason. That means they evolve their game even more. Obviously, I'm excited about Jaylen and Jason. I'm super excited about Rob. There's so much potential he has.
Well,
a lot of people just see him as a lob threat, but
He's so much more
he's
than
kind of got the mid range a little bit in the bag. It's just
he's our most consistent free throw shooter.
Oh yeah, no, he just
really.
No, yeah, no, he really.
No,
I mean, not the best.
He's consistently 70%, but he's really good.
Not statistically. I'm just saying, in that playoffs when.
Oh yeah.
I remember everyone was bricking free throws. He was always making them. That's such an underlying.
No, yeah, in the
he's
second half of the
he's a great
season,
free throw shooter, especially for a big man.
Yeah,
that's the difference between him and Nick Claxton. They both do the same thing.
Oh my
but
God.
Rob is just a little bit better, and he has that additional stuff. But
exactly.
I feel like we I feel like we discussed a lot.
I will say the one thing I'll add is I think is when I still am unsure if there's a championship bust this season. I do think in my heart of hearts I know it is because last season could have been it, so it has to be this year's. But I think what gives me that hope is that even if we don't make it this year, it should be that shouldn't be their mindset, but should be at least for mine as a fan. Is I'm looking at sport track contracts. Is Jason Tatum? We have him for 3 more years after this. That's ridiculous. Jaylen Brown, 1 more year after this. Horford is the big one. I think Horford is he's an unrestricted free agent next year. And I don't how many games does Horford have left in the back? Did he play last season? Last season he played better than it felt like some prime 25-year-olds play, and he's playing at 36 years old.
Yeah.
But I think the fact the fact is that you can't rely on the fact that what I'm looking at right now is Jason Tatum for 4 years, Robert Williams 4 years with a extreme pay of 10 to 13 million. What a ridiculous contract. Amazing.
Crazy steal.
For me, as an optimist, I'm we have those guys 4 years, but I think this year might has to be a championship bust year on the simple fact of unless we get a new great center and a new great power forward, we have Al Horford unrestricted free agent and Grant Williams a restricted free agent. I love Grant. I think Grant is not a 25 million player, but I don't know if we can play him next year because he had a great season this year.
I forgot about Grant. We just haven't said the name the entire podcast.
But he's consistently great.
I just forgot about him.
He had that was a breakout season last year. Honestly, yes, he didn't have the flashy numbers as some of the other guys, but as a Celtics fan, it felt like he had a chance to be most improved because he just seemed clearly but I think we didn't have a podcast for prior years, but I not to put Austin on blast, but Austin did not like Grant Williams play. I mean, I don't blame him. He wasn't bad. He was bad.
There were some times where I was very aggravated.
No, bro, that's warranted. 2 years ago, it was he couldn't play in the YMCA, bro. He was buns.
Yeah, but 24, but the reason Celtics kept it with him is because the guy is he's 24. He's still on a rookie contract, and in this year, unless he makes a huge regression, then it's gonna be really hard to pay these guys. We have the reason that last year and this year we have 2 championship level teams is because we have a lot of great contracts and a lot of great young players. So the question is that'll be a great question is can Grant continue to play this level? And I think why not? It wasn't a flash in the pan. And can we win a championship after this year? Because it's every year. Everyone ramps up and there's not we don't people don't know people don't have other teams don't take off years. Everyone says championship bust. So everyone gets better.
Everyone's back. You got to start over. That's the thing that sucks about losing the finals. You got to start over. Everyone's back. Everyone's going to be healthy. I mean, just hella superstars going to be coming back. I mean, multiple teams. I mean, you got Nuggets, you got Jamal Murray, MPJ. You got freaking the Clippers, John Wall. This guy hasn't played in 4 years now, 4 seasons. I don't know how John Wall's going to be. I'm not saying but you got John Wall and Kawhi coming back. Kawhi is probably a better one to bring up. But yeah, that we don't know who's going to be where next season. So and I think you did make an
interesting time.
Yeah, you did make a good mention with Al Horford too that I wanted to touch up on. Is that I think we got to remember that this is an Al Horford that's coming off a 30-something game season and then sitting on the bench just in OKC in a time chamber or anything just chilling. This is an Al Horford who played a full regular season and is coming off of a finals run and is a year older. So I think you did bring up some very valid points with that. I'm interested to see what the lineup is going to be. I don't know if they're going to. I know Ime likes to keep a lot of size on the court, but I don't know. Maybe if they'll take out, put him to the bench, and then especially now with Gallo possibly might being out for maybe a little bit of the beginning of the season, putting Al on the bench and starting Brogdon. So I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of questions. I'm really excited. Training camp's going to be coming up in less than a month. I don't know if it does it start around mid to endish September, because I know the first preseason game's October 2nd. If I'm not mistaken. They haven't mentioned anything about it. I check Reddit every day, so I'm just waiting for that announcement when they announce training camp, because obviously we'll definitely have a lot more news and stuff by then. We'll have a lot to talk about. And we'll just be recap. But I mean, I think we definitely discussed a lot. I'm super excited for the season. I mean, got to witness our first finals run, even though, didn't end as well as we hoped, but I mean, hey, shit's only, knocking on wood, but it's only up from here, I think, for Celtics.
On God.
So, if you are listening to this, thank you very much. If you did, check out this first episode, a little bit, obviously it's our first time really doing this. So, we appreciate any support from you guys, and it's only going to get better from here for us as well, because once
I was just gonna say, just like the Celtics, bro.
Exactly. So we're just trying this out, gonna stick with it, and
let us know go for it.
No, just make sure we'll put we're gonna upload it. This will be uploaded to Spotify, Apple Music. We're gonna put our links to socials in the description there. I believe Instagram, where it's kind of our main thing right now, is just Lucky Clover Pod on Instagram. So go follow that if you are listening and you haven't checked it out already. Again, I'm Austin. This is Matt and Aaron as well. Thank you again for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.
Peace.
See you guys.